Thank you very much for staying with us. We are fighting vigorously the clock because there's so much to say. There's an old saying that my grandmother used to quote, and I'm sure you've heard it: we're trying to get a quart into a pint. A whole lot of information and comments that we want to make, but we're doing just an overview today. We promise that we will have these vibrant individuals back with us, and we're going to take these institutions and really dissect them and see where we're going wrong. But we just want to get a couple of comments. So Freddie and Celi, we're talking about agriculture and fisheries, which was a staple back in the day. So, a brief comment. I mean, what you have to say about that?
I remember back in the day, man, Luther used to produce all the pineapples
there you go.
want. The people down in Kettle and other places, tomatoes, all we want. We see again, CD. If people do not believe in themselves, we have become so dependent on foreign direct investment, foreign influence that would validate us. We've moved away from those things that cause us to be Bahamian. That's my point.
Well,
that is my only point in this whole conversation. Bahamians must take the responsibility of building this nation for Bahamians, by Bahamians, and invite the world to come and enjoy us and be a part of us. But unless we change the mindset of dependency, that is where we fell down, in my opinion.
And Celi, we look at construction, which construction used to be with tourism, banking and finance, agriculture and fisheries. Construction used to be the fourth pillar of our economic structure. What's happening there?
Well, I think at the end of the day, you know, we had a lot of these industries, but at the end of the day, we have to look at who's prospering from these industries. You know, do we want it to be the Bahamian or do we want it to be somebody else? You know, so we could have a lot of successful things going on in the Bahamas.
When you reach outside and you get the fella money, man, he can tell you, I come in and I spend my money, but you got to buy your materials from me, you got to bring my laborers in. Other than that, I ain't giving you my money. Well, you know what you should tell him? Go someplace else. Well, do we have the intestinal fortitude to do that?
Right, and even if you have persons coming and doing business here, they're profiting, and the Bahamian isn't profiting. See, at the end of the day, we have to decide where we want to be. Are we in it for Bahamians, or are we in it for somebody else? And it's like you say, do you have the intestinal fortitude to drive it for the Bahamian? So a lot of that stuff, you know, the Bahamians are on the outside looking in, and a lot of that has to do with how they feel about themselves. We're not handling our business properly.
You heard the point you just made. I think that's a fundamental point. The Bahamians are on the outside looking in. Right. That's the fundamental problem.
Right. I like to talk about things of which I know. I remember back in the day, right? When we were segregated, you couldn't go into certain people places.
I can't remember the part.
No, you don't. But so you should listen and learn. When we had a vibrant, over-the-hill economy. Why? Because you couldn't go into them people place on Bay Street. So the people over the hill were successful business persons, particularly in the field of entertainment. I know very well. You had the Felix Johnsons, and you had the Silver Slipper, and the Bain brothers. Your family, you had the Munnings, Cat and Phil, and any number of other successful operations. Because we believed, because we were so resilient, we created very successful operations. We've allowed that to be destroyed.
Whatever we say goes back to the fundamental point.
Absolutely.
We lost ourselves.
For example,
in the past 44 years,
of
what has happened in this society, because we did not teach our people who we are and where we come from, a lot of our people have grown complacent.
Yes.
We have this timidity. We are timid people. We are timid people. See, the reliance on outsiders came as a result of us losing.
Outsiders to validate you.
No. As a result of us losing knowledge of ourselves, as a result of us losing courage. For example, back in the day, and I know that phrase is very old, people had more self-confidence, more self-respect, more dignity, more self-reliance. But we became more interested in things. Stuff became the barometer of our success. There was a time, Celi, You may not remember it, but right there on Milton Street where your homestead is, we would see a fellow, you would say, boy, see him walking at Wampus. Now, a lot of people don't know what a Wampus is. A Wampus is an automobile tire cut old car tire with strings to use for shoes.
Yeah.
So you see that fellow with his Wampus and his patch pants. So that's plenty man.
Robin Hood flower.
Oh no, that's plenty man. You see, because we looked at the character
that's right.
of the individual.
That's right.
But in the past number of years, we have lost sight of the character.
We've imported all of these fictitious cultural expressions.
But you see, you couldn't import it. You couldn't import it until you lost.
Yeah.
So you had to empty yourself of something before you could fill it with something else
or be brainwashed to the point to believe that their ice is colder than your ice.
And then we became
that's the point.
We became an indisciplined people.
A dependent people.
We became an indisciplined people. All of these, an indisciplined people. We have been led to believe that we could basically have it our way. Do what we want. We resist authority. We chafe at authority. All of this is a lack of proper education. We also became, I don't want to use the word corruption in a broad sense, but we became reliant on somebody compensating us even when they didn't have to. If you're being paid to do your job, then why should somebody have to give you another sum? Back in the day, under the UBP government, I will say this without any fear of contradiction, a public officer, including police officers, that's almost instant dismissal. You couldn't take a tip. As a young 17-year-old customs officer, and I always say this, at the airport checking in passengers, the late Charles Major came through from New York, no luggage, just a briefcase in his hand, and he took a 10 shilling. Now you know this way back, this was shilling. Took a 10 shilling and stuffed it in my white custom officer shirt. And he said, because after I cleared him through, and he went through the open door, you know, the doors that opened in half. Freddie, Shelly, I ran behind him.
Why?
Because I couldn't take it.
Why?
No, because first of all, it was inculcated in me that was so outside of the norm.
Why wouldn't you take it though? Why?
No, why? Because one, I didn't think he needed to give me that. I was doing my job. Two, it was strictly against rules. It calls for dismissal.
He's a customs officer.
But why?
It was perceived that would be a form of bribery.
Yeah, and so
now in this case,
and so that's
Mr. Major may just wanted to tip him because of courteous service.
Maybe, but I had to let him know.
But it's the perception.
I returned it.
But the perception hasn't changed. You still bribing people, getting custom officers getting bribed.
Yeah,
but I'm still trying to get to the core.
Wrong.
Yeah, but it's still wrong.
It's wrong.
But I'm trying to get to the core.
And that's the point he's making.
No, it's deeper than that. No, it's deeper than that.
Okay, you may get it.
It's deeper than that. Why didn't he take it?
Yeah.
Why? I would venture to say that the reason he didn't take it was because he believed under the UOBP administration that he was doing something for country by guarding the revenue and doing his job for country.
That's a part of it.
That's what he felt.
Yeah, that's a part of it.
That's what he felt.
And I was proud to do that.
And he was proud to do that.
And I was proud to do that.
But he felt attached.
Yes,
that I am proud to do this.
We're all saying the same thing.
But it answers the question now. The answer now is people feel detached. So the question is, why do they feel detached?
Yes.
Well,
you're making a point, Charlie.
Again,
why do they feel detached?
That's a rhetorical question, and I say one.
Don't rhetorical. You got to answer for it.
But what's your answer?
And it comes right back, and I'm telling you, like a person for me.
Go ahead.
When I read my Constitution, and I'm saying as a young person that my country isn't independent after being told for years it's independent. Her majesty, everything is invested with her, and I have to swear allegiance to her. That means, what am I fighting for this place for if it is for her heirs and successors? And it even ties with what Rev said, that we didn't even do a good enough job to indoctrinate ourselves that we could even transition away from that.
But this is a good point. This is a good point. No. This is a good point to let's lead into the final phase. No, that's where we are now, and you can. That's that's where we are now.
Toward a solution that's not going to help us.
But no,
Yeah, but
that's
we've never talked about the problem.
No,
we did.
We've never identified
Maybe
the
you
problem.
never talked about the problem.
We
Many
never-
of us have.
No, you talk around
no,
the problem, but
in
you
the
never
few
identified
minutes,
it.
in the
No,
few
sir.
minutes that we
No,
have
sir.
left,
All right.
No, sir.
let's talk about what Freddie is saying. What are you going to do about it? Let's
What
talk
do
about
we do
going
about it?
forward. So I want to throw out a couple of things. I'd like your opinion. What we need more accountability in our society. Accountability from the top to
And how
the
do you
bottom.
achieve that?
Demand it.
And how do you demand it?
Well, demand it by calling upon those who are supposed to give an account to give an
Well,
account.
the first way is you, as an individual, do what you did. You do the thing that
Oh,
you
yeah,
know
yeah,
is
see,
right.
yeah, of course.
if
You be accountable.
You got to be accountable
Yes,
to
I
yourself
agree,
first.
I
That's the
agree,
first step.
I agree.
Now, once you are accountable to you and your family,
Yes.
then you hold those who are responsible to you accountable.
Yes, and what we're
But
talking.
everything, if I may, it starts with leadership.
Yes.
Everything is a direct result of leadership. Again, when I look at independence, and now when I look at it, I see everybody on Forward-Celi. I say, look at all these people swearing allegiance to somebody else. How we get independence? So the solution, I think we need honesty. We need to read the Constitution and call it for what it is. If we are not independent, we're just a sovereign state. Let's say that. If we
Yeah, but Chelly, I hear that,
Keep
and we're
saying
running
the
out
same
of
thing
time.
over
Wait,
and
no.
over.
Yeah.
That is
you
true.
are a part of society. You have a methodology to do it personally because you, a storyteller, you know how to do that. Where's the stories talking about that?
Chelly?
Where's the action?
I agree.
Don't just identify the problem. Let's help.
No, but
to solve
I
the
agree
problem.
with Chelly, but the point
That's
I
the
want to
point.
make, the fundamental point is, even if you were in physical slavery,
Yes.
even if you were in physical slavery, what you're talking about really is just political serfdom. But even if we were in physical slavery, you still could have that pride.
But
You
many
still
did.
could have that love
Pompey
for
did.
country.
Pompey
so,
did. He
so,
stood
so,
up.
so what I'm saying is,
But if we may, but the difference with Pompey, Pompey wasn't enslaved mentally. See, the problem is we talk about.
Well, that's what we're saying.
That's exactly what he said.
Yeah,
That's what we're saying.
yeah, but it depends. Pompey was had an independent
Change don't
mind.
make
No,
you
but
a
that's what
slave.
we are
It's your
saying.
mind. But
That's
we
what
said
we're
that from day
saying.
one.
There's an old
Emancipate
song
your
of the
mind.
church, Faith of Our Fathers. It say our fathers chained in dungeon were
Absolutely.
still in their minds and spirit free.
That's right.
You see, outer chains do not enslave you. It's your mind.
It has to start with the
But so
individual.
what we are saying is we're talking about practical solutions. One of the things that we must do is we must decentralize power. We must decentralize power, giving people a sense of involvement, a reason for participation. You talked about the detachment. The detachment was not only because the Queen was the head of the executive. The detachment was because so many of our people were left on the side as bystanders. And you hear it on the street every day. Well, it's just saying they are going to do what they want to do anyhow.
Exactly, CB. I am saying to you, and I hear we've been probably trying to get to this theme throughout. Unless we, and the late Bob Marley said it so very accurately, emancipate your mind, my friend. That's where it starts.
But that's what we're saying.
Once we do that, we're not going to allow the fella. See, I keep saying, and when I have the opportunity, I am too proud to rob anybody, I'm too proud to do that. I ain't gonna rob nobody because back in the day, and you probably remember this either. The parents used to tell you, boy, don't you go there and mess up my good name. That was the mantra.
We need in addition to all we've said.
Freddie Munnins was rich too, so.
But we need concentration.
He worked hard to become rich. No one gave him anything. Trust me. And he lost his richness trying to help others.
We need
Just remember that.
we need
Tell the whole story.
No, of course,
We need constitutional
Don't
amendments.
throw those
For example, constitutional amendments dealing with what you just said. We need to involve all of our people. We need to somehow convince all of our people that they have a stake in the game.
Absolutely.
That they have a skin in the game. That without them, this country cannot achieve what it should
But that starts with
achieve.
leadership though, Rev.
Yeah, I agree. No, I agree with you. But leadership doesn't always come from the top.
Amen.
Leadership doesn't always come from the top because we have taken the position that very often if the people would lead, the leaders will follow.
And leadership, if true leadership, is the ability to cause people to follow you.
Yes, and for example,
See, that's what a leader is.
Let me get your opinion on
A leader
this.
is one who would create the kind of environment that you would want to follow him.
we talk about
not
constitutional
because of oppression or other reasons.
What I was
or
hoping,
dependency.
what I was hoping to get from you, very vivid and lively minds, some suggestions for constitutional amendments. I don't know if we have the time. See, this is what you have. It's fine to say, oh, we need constitutional amendments, but we need to articulate some of these things for those persons who are watching, who may not be aware of where we need to go. Quickly, one or two things.
Well, see, we just to spill out recommendations for constitutional amendment. First of all, electoral reform.
Yes, sir.
All right? We got to be able to let the people know where the power lies.
Yes, that's right.
The power does not lie with the representative.
That's right.
As a matter of fact, the representatives work for us.
Yes.
We got to understand
we're
that.
getting the signal to wrap up
But
now.
if I may say, the first thing we need to decide is, do we truly want to be an independent country? I mean, that's the first thing. Either you're going to be independent or you're not. We have Bahamians now with all the money they have. They live on Ocean Club, and they can't even go in a casino. And foreigners come in their country
All
and
of
do
that
what
is
they
true.
can.
So what
So
we're
that's
saying-
the first thing you need to decide.
That's what
And
we're
everything
saying.
flows from that. Because if you
Exactly.
don't, well, might as well throw in the
So
towel.
we need to identify suggestions for constitutional amendment. And we sat by and allowed over the years, we had 2 failed constitutional amendments, and many of the items included were not that significant, and we left the greater part of the important items just unaddressed. But listen, very quickly, and we have to go. Immigration. When you talk about immigration, people immediately think you mean illegals. But we've got a problem with even legal immigration in this country, We've got people who've come here ostensibly to train Bahamians on the work permit.
We will always have a problem of immigration as long as we do not believe that we can build this nation ourselves.
But that's what I'm saying.
And once you reach out to someone to bring an expertise in, that person must understand your job is to be displaced by a Bahamian. If
Eventually.
not, you have a limited time frame to achieve your objective, and you're going to pay us for it, and after that, leave our country.
But to do that,
I
you have
can't
to.
do it in America.
But to do that, you have to believe you can be independent.
Absolutely.
That's the
There's no
core.
reason
You
You
don't
gotta be
deal with
dependent.
that.
You've got to
But
be
there's no
responsible
reason
for yourself.
There's no reason for a person to be on a work permit for 14 years.
Absolutely.
It goes against the whole principle of work permit. Now here's what I'm saying. If after a few years an expatriate feels he loves the country, he has something to offer, then he or she should apply
And let me
for some
quickly add
other
this.
status.
I don't adhere to this philosophy about you could buy your citizenship. If you spend $1 million or $500,000, you
Well,
can, no. My citizenship, my country is not for sale.
Well, Freddie, I take
That's
it
my
a step
position.
further. I don't even believe that you should be able to apply for Bahamian citizenship. Yeah, I believe, we should invite you to become a part of this. You don't apply for this.
Well,
we
even if you invite yourself,
Yeah.
we have to have a strict
But no,
criteria.
If you spend $1 million,
No.
No, apply for this, man. We invite
What
you,
Celi
man.
is saying,
We
even
invite
if you
you.
invite yourself, we should have a strict criteria to
you
apply
gotta
to.
hold something
We have to come
precious
back
and
here.
something of value.
Absolutely. And I must have you gentlemen back because we just ran over a lot of important things, but we just wanted to have an overview of the past, the present, where we are currently and where we are going. We robbed that last segment because that was the most important segment, suggesting
Can I
ways
suggest
forward.
this?
Yeah.
You really can't bring the 2 of us back to get it all in 1 hour. I mean, Shelly by himself is enough.
No, but the interaction is great, and so we will have you both back.
You know the story about the young buck and the old buck.
Well, yeah, of course.
So
of
let's see
course.
how much. I tried to learn. That's why I let you go first. That's why I let you go
Folks,
first.
I'm sure you enjoyed it. We're going to have you back very, very soon, and we're going to take a little more time for each of the important areas here, because this is important stuff,
Absolutely.
This is important stuff we're talking. We may be laughing, but this is important stuff.
This is serious business.
Serious business.
But
This
if
is
I may
about
say,
the
Rev,
future of our country.
I think the most important thing is Bahamians need to decide, do you want to be independent or not? I mean, that's it.
Well,
First
I
of
agree
all,
with
we
that.
got to decide what and who makes us. What
But
makes
I
you
agree
a
with that.
Bahamian?
Right.
See, that's the
Well, all
first
that will
question.
come afterwards,
That's
because
the-
if you
no,
don't
no,
want to
that
be
gotta come
independent,
first.
it don't really matter.
You got to know what a Bahamian is, or who a Bahamian is.
Well, a
before you
Bahamian could be a
decide to be.
slave to another person.
No,
But they
you
say-
want to be
Bahamian never no
independent.
slave.
Well, of course you are.
Y'all keep
Bahamian
talking.
never knows.
Y'all
Well,
Well, you
keep
were
talking
before
while
you
I
still
sign
are.
off.
If you read the Constitution, you are.
Y'all keep talking while I sign off, because it is said that the best indication of the meal is when people want more. But we're going to have to bring you back to bring that more. But you can keep talking about this. You've really seen and heard a wonderful exchange. Very good ideas, but we need to delve into them a little deeper, as Freddie said, and we will do that sometime very soon. We won't fix a date, but we'll be back real soon. And so, until then, we should like to thank Celi.
Thank you, Ralph.
And Freddie.
Thank you, Freddie.
Always a pleasure.
You will be back very shortly, so please plan for it. And let's pick up where we're leaving off right now. Folks, it was good having you with us this evening. The time runs so quickly, but we must go. And so until next week, we say good night. God bless you.
Only love can save us now. Only love